Hey everybody, welcome to Stories of the Extraordinary, and my name is Patrick Slane, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Scott Fifer. Scott Fifer is the CEO and founder of Go Campaign. How you doing, Scott?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Um, Scott, I was doing some research on your organization, and I gotta say, I'm just really impressed with all the work that you're doing all around the world. So many people that you've helped, so many countries that you're involved in, so many different kinds of projects. I was hoping you could give sort of a background to our audience members that perhaps are not familiar with Go Campaign in terms of how this idea got started and what's your vision for this organization.
Sure. Well, I started this organization in 2006 after having taken a volunteer trip to volunteering at an orphanage, a center for street kids, and it was just the best month of my life. And I had such a great time when I came back. I told stories to all my friends through email, and they said, "Hey, we'd love to help you. How can we help?" And they were willing to donate money, but they wanted a tax deduction. So having been a lawyer in a previous life, it was fairly easy for me to form the nonprofit and have some friends um, do the legal work for me. And then, so I started the organization just to help those 20 kids because it was a personal connection. I wanted to help them. And that personal connection sort of spread to my friends and neighbors and colleagues here in Los Angeles. And they were as excited about it as I was. And it really just, I'd say it sort of caught on like wildfire. It became, somebody then came to me and said, "Oh, I know this monk working in Cambodia who's helping girls. If I gave you money for him, could you do whatever you're doing in Africa and do it for him in Cambodia?" And I'm like, well, "Okay, maybe. I guess I could." And then somebody else would bring me another project for, somebody in Harlem that was helping kids in New York. And I'm like, well, okay. And so it really just organically grew. It never had any structure in the early years. It's just trying to help people and, do the right thing. And then as it took shape over time, and it became an organization that invests in local heroes around the world. So we find amazing grassroots local heroes who are dedicating investing in the lives of their children. And and so we only help people that are from the community. So they were working for kids before they met me, and they're going to be working for their kids and helping them after I'm gone. So there's no sense of dependency.
Right.
Um, and then it grew, and so now we work in 34 countries, and we've helped over 135,000 children after that initial 20 that we started with. And I think what really made it different is donors, people got excited because it's very tangible. Like you can say, "I want my money to help girls in this particular region," or "I want my money to help a eco-friendly cause because I care about climate change," or "I'm really interested in jobs and creating a better economy, and so I'm interested in your programs that are giving kids job skills and making sure that they get jobs when they graduate from school." And so we have so many diverse projects all over the world, from East LA to East Africa, that it's really easy for a donor to sort of plug in based on their own passion. And so that's what we do. It's try to just engage people on this end with their philanthropic dollars, so that they're excited about what they're writing the check for, and that they can participate in and feel like they're a part of. And then on the other end, it's really finding those amazing local heroes and listening to what they have to say, and not imposing our ideals on them and saying, "Hey, you need a library, or you need a school, or you need this." Like, I don't ever do any of that. We just go in and we find these amazing people and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. What do you need? How can we help you?" And then we talk it through. And so it's been a really great, amazing projects helping children all around the world.
That's great. And like I said, I mean, just all different kinds of awesome projects that you're involved in. I love the fact that it's very customizable in terms of what a particular person's passionate about. Scott, I want to read a quote that I got off of your website that says, "We invest your donations in programs that address the root causes of problems affecting orphans and vulnerable children throughout the world. Scott, in your mind and over the course of your career in this organization, what have you come to find are the root causes of poverty and things that are affecting children and orphans?
Well, there are a number of factors, but what it all boils down to is really opportunity, and a lack of opportunity. And so that's where we try to plug in. In fact, we say that GO stands for giving opportunity, because just think of all the opportunities that kids have. For example, I live in Los Angeles. All the kids around here have just the most incredible opportunities before them. Their schools are filled with, so many incredible resources, and they have access to so many incredible teachers and people and parents and people who love them, and summer internships and after school programs, and they have busier lives than their parents have. And often I think we take that for granted here. And in so many places in the United States where kids just don't have any opportunity. There are whole classes of children and whole communities in parts of America that are just ignored. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just level the playing field, because I really think the root cause of poverty, whether it be, you can go into things like land use and lack of water and lack of medical care, and or corruption in governments, or all kinds of things that affect why poverty stays. But it's really the result is just completely uneven opportunities.
Right.
And so my job is to just find ways to level the playing field in communities around the world.
Right. Excellent. And some other things that I would like to read off of your website. So according to your website, 133,735 orphans and children's helped, providing education for 44,190 eager students, 65,259 children given nutrition and health care. What is it exactly about Go Campaign that makes it so you are able to have such an impact to help you achieve those sorts of numbers?
It's really goes back to what I mentioned before, is that we don't ever impose our ideas on anybody else.
Right.
So by finding these incredible local heroes, whether they're a school principal or an orphanage director or a leader of a community program, or many of our partners have gone on to win CNN Hero Awards. One even won who have dedicated their lives and who know their community. And so you can have great impact with them because there's no red tape. We are dealing with the people on the ground, the incredible heroes who are really changing the story and changing the narrative for the next generation and their community. And so by investing in them and not thinking that I have to do all the work, it makes it possible to get more done. We just get stuff done because there is no red tape, and it's us and these people on the ground, and we're in constant communication and sharing ideas and brainstorming and bouncing ideas off each other. And so when you work at that level, you can get a lot of stuff done. We're not sitting in a boardroom at the UN debating, what the best ways to solve poverty.
Right.
Somebody else can go do that if they want to, but I just want to talk to somebody and how can we help you, and let's get it done.
Right.
And so we're much more direct, and I think that's proven to be, very effective.
Right. Yeah. Take the politics out of it. Let's just help people. Yes. I think that's awesome. And I've seen several interviews with you now, Scott, where you stress the importance of wanting to see to it that every dollar actually goes to helping orphans and the children. And I think that's really awesome, because I feel like you have a lot of people who very well could help people, but they're hesitant to give to certain organizations because they worry that only a very small percentage of their dollar actually is going to go to help orphans and so forth. So how are you able to see to it that their money is actually going to those children, to those orphans exactly?
We had as you said, there's a lot of people are skeptical because there have been a lot of stories in the press about misuse of funds. There are also those stories of charities that are doing really good work, but they just are so big and they're so massive. They have thousands of employees and they have staffs and giant staffs and giant bills to pay, and so all of your money has to can't possibly go to to the end result because they have a big organization to support.
Right.
So at Go, we try to keep ourselves nimble. We're a fairly small organization. We're about a staff of 7. And we got a gift in 2007 and 8 that allows us to pay for all of our fundraising and administrative costs, so that when we throw our big Hollywood gala every year, it comes out of that fund, and we pay for it from that. I mean, we're still pretty lean and don't spend a lot of money on it, but the money we do spend comes out of that separate fund, so that all the money that we get from the ticket sales can go to programs helping the kids. Right. And so we were lucky that we were able to do that, because it's been important to me ever since, that first friend 12 years ago wrote me a check. I wanted to make sure all that money was going to help those kids, those 20 kids in Tanzania. So we've luckily been able to keep that model, because I think it is important to be transparent. And in this day and age when they're just it was a terrible story. We heard about all the money that went to Haiti after the hurricane a few years back, and very little of that money ended up doing anything good, and it all got spent in a lot of useless ways. And so stories like that are frightening and frustrating, and so we try to offer another alternative to that, where it's really direct and there's no red tape, and it's your money goes to those kids. Let's get it done.
Right. Now, so if you clearly had the really good fortune of receiving such a gift, I mean, clearly part of helping run your organization is all about having good relationships and maintaining good relationships with certain donors, seeing to it that they really, want to stay involved in your organization. So what do you feel like, as someone who runs this kind of an organization, is the key to maintaining good relationships with your donors, Scott?
Well, I think the most important thing is transparency, and just be honest and open about everything, so that everybody can see what's going on, and if they have any questions, they can ask, and they know they'll get a straight answer. So that's probably the most important thing. It creates a sense of authenticity. I think people like us because we're authentic, and it's very, we're not trying to put on any airs or present any kind of facade. Like, this is just who we are and what we do, and it's and touch that, I think. And then I think, all donors are different. There's no one answer. Some people like to get a lot, hear from us a lot, and other people feel like, oh my God, why are you sending me so many emails? So you're never gonna win on that, because all people are different. So, but what we do try to do is, when somebody makes a donation to a specific cause, whether you invested in some dollars to help Native American youth here in America, or you helped our Center for Autistic and Special Needs Kids in East Africa, we'll send you a follow-up letter after a few months and just say, hey, remember when you made that gift? Just wanted you to know, here's a picture of what happened. Here's the latest update. Here's what's going right. Here's what some challenges are. Right. Just want to let you know what's going on, so that there's again, to sort of foster that direct connection between your dollars and your impact.
Right. So they can actually see the result that their dollars is having. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Scott, can you give me an example of some challenges that you've faced over the course of this organization, and how exactly you as a leader had to overcome those exactly?
Well, there's all kinds of challenges, I suppose, every day over the years. I mean, there's internal challenges about how do you build a good staff, and how do you be a good boss, and how do you grow an organization, and so those are challenges that you learn and you grow as time goes on. There are challenges engage with donors, and how much is too much information, how much is less, and in social media these days, the rules seem to change every day. And so it's, well, are we supposed to be on Instagram? Are we supposed to be on Twitter? Or what are we supposed to be posting on Facebook? Or so, there's all kinds of challenges in that, and trying to find people who can help you grow the organization as the world around us changes. And then on the sort of the grantee end and working with our partners, we can have challenges in communicating. Sometimes they speak different languages and there are different cultures, and so we might misunderstand each other. And so we have to work through things like that sometimes. Other times, we've had grantees who are just so busy doing amazing work that they don't have time to have great accounting. And so we have to, work with them and explain that, well, I totally understand you don't have time for that because you're busy saving lives of kids, and you're just trying to get through the day. But if you want dollars from the international community, you really have to have good accounting and the receipts and be able to show that those dollars went to exactly what you said they were going to go to. Mm-hmm. And so often we've sent over some accountants, volunteer accountants. We have people who come to us all the time and say, hey, I don't have any money, but I have these skills. Could I go teach, or could I go help somebody with their website, or could I go help with accounting? And so we have sent accountants over to be like, yes, could you help this clean books, but not burden them so much? And so, we try to work through challenges that way. And so of course, there are always different challenges. And figuring out how to tell our story, and are always open to new ideas on how to do our job better.
Right. Scott, now, so oftentimes our lives are affected by people that come into our lives, and they motivate us to keep going forward in terms of moving forward with whatever it is that we feel our mission is. Now, you had mentioned those 25 kids that you had helped on your original trip to Tanzania. Is there anybody else, or anybody in particular, that stands out to you in the course of recent memory that keeps motivating you, or that you picture in mind? Is there anyone in particular?
We work with so many amazing local heroes around the world, and just if you met any one of them, you would be so inspired and would never forget them. So I can't pick just one, but when you mention those 20 kids, for me, it is really personal. So I still talk to, most of those 20 kids, and if not talk to them, I know somebody in Tanzania who's watching over them, or some have gone, some are old and grown up now, and they're off and have kids, and so some are on Facebook, and I talk to them that way. But there are several that I talk to on the phone frequently, and they're still calling and asking me. Right now, the economy's tough, and life is not easy. So I'm still a parent to many of those kids who no longer live at that orphanage, and now they're out in the world. And so that keeps me really directly connected, because I'm talking to 20 different kids with all their various different teenage or young adult problems, and so for me, that just reminds me of how I started this whole project, and it keeps me sort of rooted to the heart of it all, and why I started it. One of those kids actually was lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to high school here in America, and so he studies at a boarding school in Hawaii right now.
In Hawaii, wow.
Yeah, and now he's a junior, so we have to start looking for colleges for him. And so he lives with me when he's on school vacations, and
wow.
He'll be coming home in a few weeks. And so I always, get inspired by him, because he's working so hard. And I threw him halfway across the world. Tanzania and Hawaii are literally, if you find a globe, you do this. They're on opposite. He'd be closer to home if he were on the North Pole.
Right.
He couldn't be further away.
Right.
Hawaii and Tanzania are the furthest places apart on the globe. So to throw him literally halfway across the world, and to see him thrive is really inspiring to me. And it just shows what happens when you give a kid an opportunity. Like his brother is still back in Tanzania and struggling and trying to find and survive, is one of the people I talk to on the phone. I'm always giving advice to. But then here's Leonce, who's in Hawaii and thriving, and is going to, go on to college next year somewhere in America. And so it just goes to show you, when you invest in a kid and give them the opportunity that all kids should have, amazing, amazing things could happen. So he's really continues to be an inspiration for me, because he shows me that, well, this is just proves the point of why we're doing this.
That's awesome. Scott, a big part of what makes us who we are our habits. And clearly you've been an extremely effective leader for this organization. So I would be really curious as to learn, what does your daily routine look like? Because I can't imagine all the people that you have to interact with on a daily basis, I mean, sure, you mentioned that your staff is relatively small, but that's all relative. I'm sure, a lot of people might find that sort of managing daunting. So how about you walk us through your daily routine, your daily habits?
Well, every day is different. To be honest, I'm not a person who follows a strict routine every day. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so great about the job, is because we're working with so many different areas, fighting poverty on so many different levels, but all at grassroots levels around the world, that I'm learning so many new things. And one day I'm learning things about the indigenous people in Mexico, in Haiti, so it always keeps me on my toes. So that's exciting. But to your point of routine, I mean, obviously I'm in the office some of the time. I'm out meeting with donors other times, and trying to raise money and raise awareness. But I always, two things I think are really important, just personally. One is exercise. Right. So I always do a P90X right here in my living room once a day, either in the morning or the evening. I've been doing that for, 15 years, since it first came out, and it mm-hmm. works. Okay? And that, the endorphins start coming, and it gets your brain going, and it's a great way to start the day if possible. Some mornings I can't squeeze it in, and so I have to do it at the end of the day or the evening, which is always a little less exciting, and you're like, oh, I have to do that. But you feel so good when you do it. And so that really has had a great impact on all the other aspects of my life. And then sleep, I think, is really important. Like, there's some people who don't need it, but I'm somebody who, a solid 8 hours of sleep, and I find that I function a lot better. And so I make sure that included in my routine always are exercise and some good sleep and a healthy diet. I'm pretty good about trying to keep my diet. I live in California, so that's just what we do here.
Yeah.
So those three things. But then in terms of my work, then I'm ready for whatever the day's going to throw at me.
Right. Well, I mean, I remember when I actually first realized that was you in some of those P90X videos. I'm like, God dang, that guy's in great shape. Like, those P90X videos just kill me. Like, I started doing them as well when they started to come out, and Tony Horton just kicks my butt, so yeah, P90X the best.
It works.
Yeah, it does. Scott, so let's talk about real quickly some goals for Go Campaign over the next year.
We are really in a stage where we're trying to grow. We're pretty well known in a section of Los Angeles, and we're trying, and we have pockets of people around the country and around the world who are our donors, and who, like, a school in Arizona will adopt us and do some fundraising for us, or there'll be somebody having a bar mitzvah in New York who, and the teenager, gives their money to Go Campaign for their bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. So we have small pockets around the world, but we're really trying to, for the most part, I think most people still probably don't know who we are or what we do. So in the coming years, we're really trying to raise awareness about our organization and our work, and just let people know that we have a really great platform where you can plug in to in so many different ways. And so that's we're trying to grow the organization that way, which will then lead to shortage of amazing local heroes around the world who have fantastic projects that we'd love to do with them, but we have to prioritize. We don't have enough money for all the amazing work that's waiting out there for us to do. So we're eager to grow and gain more funds and find more allies and supporters.
Great. Scott, what's a question that I did not ask you that I should have?
Well, I guess you could have asked how people want to get involved, if how people would like to plug in. As I said, they could.
Absolutely.
And the answer to that would be, well, to contact us, to go to our website, gocampaign.org, shoot us an email, give us a call. We're very user friendly. We like to talk to you and see how we can help you. Because so many people out there, they tell me they want to help and they want to do something good, but they just don't know how.
Right.
And they feel like, oh, I don't have much money. What's my $5 or $10 going to do? But the fact is, $5 or $10 can really do a lot, because that adds up. We've had so many campaigns where it's just people donating $5 or $10, and you can build a whole school with that and change hundreds and ultimately thousands of kids' lives with all these $5 donations.
Wow.
So we just like to we welcome people coming to us, and if they want to give money, if they want to give their time and volunteer, if they want to try. They're going on vacation somewhere, maybe they could visit while they're on vacation. Right. There are a number of ways people can help, whether it's through their time, their talent, or their dollars. So I encourage anybody to come find us if they're interested.
Great. Well, Scott, listen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I hope to have you back on. And listen, we wish you all the best and good luck with your organization, and just keep kicking ass and just helping people around the world, please.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to me, and thanks for helping to spread the word. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Scott. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.